It's March 22nd, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a disappearance that ended in the same room, an escape hidden in plain sight, and a cult's deadly final act. Let's begin. On March 22nd, 2010, a 4-year-old girl vanished from her own bedroom. Her name was Paulette Gebara Farah. She was disabled and unable to move easily on her own, and that's what made the case so disturbing. There were no signs of forced entry, no noise, no witnesses. She was just gone. Her parents and the police searched. Investigators combed the apartment again and again. Cameras filled the room, reporters stood inside, and at one point her mother even gave an interview sitting on the very bed Paulette had slept in. Days passed and the mystery deepened. How does one child disappear from a locked room without a trace? Then, 9 days later, everything changed. Paulette was found dead in her own bed. Allegedly, her body had been there the entire time, wedged between the mattress and the footboard, hidden in a narrow gap. Authorities claimed it was a tragic accident, that she slipped and suffocated, unseen by everyone who searched. But for many, that explanation only made things more chilling. How could dozens of people miss her? How could cameras, investigators, and her own family overlook what was right in front of them? Whispers of a cover-up, accusations of corruption. It was a case that made an entire country question what really happened inside that room. How could dozens of investigators really miss a body in a bed? Because for many people, this case still doesn't add up. On March 22nd, 1621, a man escaped from a fortress prison without breaking a single lock. His name was Hugo Grotius, a scholar, diplomat, and a prisoner. He was sentenced to life inside the cold stone walls of Loewenstein Castle. Surrounded by rivers and guards at every exit, escape was considered impossible. But Grotius had something no one feared: books. Crates of them arrived constantly. Heavy wooden chests, carried in and out so often the guards stopped checking them. Over time, the routine became invisible, predictable, and safe. So that's where the plan began. For weeks, he practiced lying perfectly still, barely breathing, training his body to become silent cargo. His wife, Maria, watched carefully, and their servant, Elgie, waited for a moment. Then on March 22nd, he folded himself into the wooden chest, surrounded by books, and closed the lid above him. The chest was lifted, carried, and weighed. At one point, guards hesitated, remarking how unusually heavy it felt. For a moment, everything hung in the balance, but Elgie didn't flinch. "Just books," she said, and that was enough. The chest was loaded onto a boat and drifted away from the prison, across the river towards freedom. The guards weren't defeated by force, they were defeated by routine. On March 22nd, 1997, in a quiet town in Quebec, something burned in the night that would leave behind more questions than answers. It began inside the secluded home in St. Casimir, where 5 members of the Order of the Solar Temple were preparing for what they called a transit. They believed their souls would leave Earth and travel to the star Uranus. Inside the house, everything had been arranged with chilling precision. Propane tanks, gasoline, and a timed ignition system. It was planned. One by one, they lost consciousness as smoke filled the rooms. But one death was different. An older woman suffocated before the fire began. Outside, something stranger. Teenagers, the children of 2 of the victims, had been drugged and placed in a nearby shed. They were meant to die too, as part of the same journey. But they woke up, confused, disoriented, and surrounded by darkness and the smell of smoke. What happened next is deeply unsettling. Reports say they had been involved in the final moments, even helping ignite plans they had once tried to stop. Authorities ruled that their minds had been clouded by drugs, by beliefs, and by something far harder to define. By morning, the house was gone and 5 people were dead. A cult whose followers believed death wasn't their end at all, but a doorway to somewhere else. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.